As if the internet community and online sleuths in this Delphi case haven't had enough to report about, we had another bombshell after this morning's Supreme Court hearing, and this one was filed by prosecutor Nick McLeland, and he has added multiple charges in an amended filing to Richard Allen's existing murder charges. Now, there are all kinds of people who are fake online attorneys, pretending like they know the law, interpreting this a million different ways, blasting McCleland, but this video is going to get to the bottom of this in a short period of time. First of all, let me read the Fox 59 story talking about this. It said, on the same day the Indiana Supreme Court heard arguments about whether or not Richard Allen's original defense team should be reinstated on the Delphi murder case, Carroll County prosecutor Nick McLeland filed new felony charges against Allen. On Thursday, McCleland filed the additional charges against him more than 1 year after his arrest. He now faces a total of 4 counts of murder and 2 felony counts of kidnapping. According to the new filing, McCleland argues that the previously released investigative findings include cause that Allen kidnapped Abby and Libby by force prior to their murders near the Mount on High Bridge. Due to Allen committing the act or attempting to commit the act of kidnapping during the alleged murder, Allen can also be charged with 2 counts of felony murder where murder is committed during the act of another crime. Now, McCleland stated these newly amended charges more accurately align with the charging information leveled against Allen, and this is significant for reasons people don't quite understand yet, and there's a couple of them. First of all, what this does is it gives the prosecution an insurance policy. This was them, make no mistake, throwing down the gauntlet against whomever Allen's defense team is, and it might even intimidate them into a plea bargain. Why? Well, what you don't know about felony murder is that you don't even have to be the one who pulled the trigger or committed the actual crime to be charged with felony murder. At this point, this means all McCleland has to do now is prove that Allen's the person who was bridge guy and kidnapped Abby and Libby, and that's what led to their murder. And so that's why he says that it more aligns with the probable cause affidavit, because he may genuinely be afraid that they can't prove that Richard Allen was the killer, even if they can prove he's bridge guy. And so by adding these additional charges, it boxes the defense team in and tells them, hey, even if we can't prove that Allen was the one who stabbed these girls to death, God rest their souls, we can prove not only that his bullet was there, but that he is bridge guy and that he kidnapped them, and that regardless of who, stabbed them or did whatever happened to them, that's what led to this crime happening. And so even if the defense can weasel their way out and say, well, he wasn't the guy who actually murdered them, this sort of makes it more difficult for Allen and his defense to wiggle out of these charges, which is what these felony murder charges are. Let's look at the actual motion here. It says, now comes the state of Indiana by prosecuting attorney Nicholas McCleland, and hereby respectfully asks the court for leave to amend the charging information filed in this cause. And it does state that on October 28th, 2022, the state filed the charging information alleging these offenses, murder as outlined in count 1 and murder as outlined in count 2. And it says, 2, the defendant was arrested on October 26, 2022 by a detective with the Carroll County Sheriff's Department. 3, the probable cause affidavit executed by then detective, now Sheriff Tony Liggett, and filed by the state on October 28, 2022, identifies acts of murder on or about February 13, 2017. 4, the discovery in this cause also revolves around the acts of the murder occurring in Carroll County on that date. 5, the charging information and the probable cause in this matter reflect the charge of murder under, and then it lists Indiana state statutes commonly referred to as felony murder. Specifically, that Richard Allen did kidnap victim 1 and victim 2 by force, and in the process of committing that felony, both victim 1 and victim 2 were murdered. Notice that's the wording. It says specifically that Richard Allen did kidnap victim 1 and victim 2 by force, and in the process of committing that felony, the 2 girls were murdered. And then it states that they hereby move to amend the charging information. Again, this is significant because this is almost the prosecution admitting, okay, we have enough to put Alan at the scene of the crime. We have enough to prove, in our opinion, that Alan was involved in some way in the commission of this crime, while also making sure that if somebody else was involved and the defense has any information that somebody else was involved, as long as they can prove that he kidnapped the girls and that's what led to their murder, if there were other people involved, the defense is going to have a much more difficult time getting their client off. So no matter what anybody tells you when they make videos about this the next few days, oh, well, this is McCleland doing this is him putting on a sideshow. I'm not going to say the timing of this wasn't interesting with all that went on in the Supreme Court this morning, but I am going to say that this makes it much more difficult, in my opinion. Again, I'm not a lawyer, but I'm a journalist who's covered court cases. In my opinion, this makes it much more difficult for Alan and his defense team, whoever they wind up being, to weasel their way out of these charges. Because, again, let's just say, hypothetically, Richard Allen marched the girls across the creek, kidnapped them, and somebody else actually stabbed them to death. Which, who knows, that may be why Nick McLeland has said in court, we believe there are other actors involved in this. It kind of closes that loophole for the defense team and for Alan's defense team. And again, this move could be significant because it could cause Alan to take a plea deal. It could cause Alan to potentially, talk. Who knows? But there's a lot more going on here than meets the eye. So be careful over the next few days or weeks listening to people who think they understand why this happened as opposed to why it really happened. Again, I think this is an insurance policy for the prosecution to where if there were other people involved, as they have speculated, it makes it much more difficult for Richard Allen to get off here. Again, if you get time to go look up the difference and Google the difference between murder and felony murder, and everything I just said will make a lot more sense to you when you read it in the context of how people are charged with murder or with felony murder, even if they weren't the ones who pulled the trigger, stabbed the person, as long as they were involved in the commission of the crime. Thanks for listening, and have a great day, everybody. I appreciate your time and everybody who supports my channel and for listening to this entire thing. Take care.